Welcome to the Political Matrix News. Hey, welcome. This is the Political Matrix Newscast. The Political Matrix is all about what's going on in politics. Of course, it's been a really boring week for the last, 5 days or so. I'm Rob Milford right here. Scott Miller is right there. He's got the hat on. Say, hey, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
There you go. Greg Fink is holding down his patio in Gainesville right now.
Oh,
you don't have mosquitoes up there? What?
No, actually, no. It's beautiful.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'm in Orlando, and that's just to geographically place us. So we're not all reading the same newspapers and seeing the same TV news. Although St. Clair has a TV station in Pensacola and in Gainesville and in Orlando, so I guess we are watching the same TV news. They probably just produce it in D.C. and ship it out to the local stations. That's why the TV station in Pensacola, which is Channel 3 WEAR, they are loath to do politics. A politician has to die, or they only cover it like election day. I'm serious. They do fewer politics, less politics, the least amount of politics of any TV station I've ever known. And I've only lived in, 5 of the top 10 markets in the country and about 12 of the top 20 markets. So there you have it. So politics is what it's all about. The Supreme Court on Monday, July the 1st, was, as someone pointed out, 3 months late for April Fools. They issued a ruling regarding what the president can do. Greg Fink, you think it was horrible and terrible. What exactly did they say it was okay for the president to do that upset you so much?
Well, I just think that the whole idea of official acts can be, reinterpreted based on the lower courts, which is, fine. I get that. I'm just I've been extremely soured by the political system. So being on the campaign side, see what happens in the back rooms and on the front rooms and the side rooms and every other room around the campaign world or the political world. And I just am extremely paranoid. And this is, I'm probably, way out of time here. I'm paranoid that people can create official acts that are not really official acts to justify behavior. And I think that, and I don't think I think it's fine for what Trump did. I mean, everything there, he should be immune for that, because it's ridiculous, the charges that they made against him. But I do think that, for Biden or any president in the future, for them to possibly try to get away with more than what they should be getting away with already, just to do something that they think is an official act. Now, I know I'm wrong, as far as that goes, to where, people say, the president should be able to do whatever they need to do. But, I'm just a little hesitant and not all that trusting that all these guys really mean the best all the time. I mean, in all reality, the first step to becoming elected is you're a narcissist.
Got it. Okay, Scott Miller, why was the Supreme Court decision a good decision for America?
Well, I mean, where Greg and I diverge is that, I agree with him that Trump, that it's entirely appropriate for Trump. But if it's good for Trump, it's got to be good for everybody. We don't want to have laws that work because they support our political agenda. Otherwise, in that case, would be Democrats. Yeah, I mean, what's funny to me is watching the Democrats, have heart palpitations that the court is making new law. Well, first off, the court isn't making new law.
No, they're not.
What's upsetting the Democrats is that the court is referring to the Constitution as the law and just talking about how things relate to the Constitution, not how they, not creating new law like they did in Roe v. Wade. In Roe v. Wade, the Democrats were in love with that because they were creating new law out of thin air. There's nothing in the Constitution. There never has been anything in the Constitution that guarantees people a certain type of health care. And so the heart palpitations we're having right now, honestly, in my opinion, relate to what the Democrats are afraid that Trump will do that they would do. They look into their hearts and they see, well, if I were in this position, here's what I would do. And it terrifies them because they're afraid that's what Trump is going to do.
Well, I'll tell you this, the shortest article in the Constitution between the three branches of government, which are the legislative, the courts, and the executive, the presidential part only takes not even 3 full pages. but it says that he gets to do a lot of things. The executive power, and you mentioned earlier, the Atlanta indictment is probably the most glaring lawfare, mind you, not warfare, against Donald Trump. And I have the list right here. There were a total of 161 acts that Fani Willis charged him with. And Donald Trump is accused of committing 43 out of that 161. So that's, basically 25%. These are the offenses. They're very specific. 12 of these were tweets. 12. 2 are nationally televised public speeches. One November 4th, one January 6th. That was the speech in Washington on the Mall prior to everybody going towards the Capitol. 9 were meetings or telephone conversations that occurred somewhere outside of Georgia's borders, had absolutely nothing to do with Georgia. 12 were meetings or telephone conversations that occurred somewhere outside Georgia, but did pertain to the election. 6 were meetings or telephone conversations that occurred somewhere outside of Georgia, in which no state was specified in the indictment. So let me see, that's 6 and 12, that's 18, and 10, that's 28, and 14, that brings us up to, 42. So I'm really trying, I saw that. Oh, and one of the other alleged felonies was the crime of meeting, ready for this, in the Oval Office with officials from the Pennsylvania legislature to discuss possible Pennsylvania actions. And that's it. And wait a minute. Yeah. And they charged him with the offense of court filing in Atlanta contesting the election results. In other words, they're charging him with protesting. Now, I don't know about you, but let me check this little handy dandy manual. If you notice, it says U.S. Constitution. Let me go a few pages in it. Oh, amendments. There we go. That referred to generally as the Bill of Rights. Amendment 1, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech. I think the Palestinian pretty much covers it all right there. And yet Fani Willis has been able to get away with this, and no judge in Georgia is going to stand up and say, hey, Fani, these 30 of these things are all First Amendment, and no.
I'd be curious to see how many protests happen in Atlanta.
Now, with this executive power, this whole case against Trump in Atlanta falls apart. That doesn't mean the documents in Miami, although it really negates a lot of that. It really does. Because then basically the FBI could say, well, we picked up 52 boxes at the Trump, and the Trump guys are going to, how many boxes did you pick up from Joe Biden's house and his office at the Institute? 64. So you picked up more material from Joe Biden than you did Donald Trump. Yes. Okay.
And there's an audio recording. There's an audio recording of Joe Biden reading classified documents to someone who wasn't cleared to read them.
Yes.
He's not in his right mind, guys. Remember?
He's I get that. And frankly, the only reason that they're not saying that Joe Biden, as the president, had the authority to read anyone that he wanted to into this classified thing, because he's in control of what is and is not classified, is because if they make it for Joe, then they got to admit that also exists for Donald Trump. That's why the only reason that they're not prosecuting Joe is because he cooperated and he was as an old tired man that the jury will have sympathy for. I mean, come on.
Now, did Biden do this in his term as president, or was this during his 8 years as vice president?
Actually, the documents came back from when he was. So the documents found their way to his home when he was vice president.
Okay, gotcha.
Vice president.
Now, what about the reading of the top secret documents to a person who was not, able to receive that information? What was that reading happening at?
He was reading it to his biographer.
Oh, yeah. So he was during his
and he was at the vice presidential house on board the Naval Observatory on the northwest side of Washington. Yeah, I remember all this. Yeah. So there you have it, kids. The double standard. And I am just shocked and amazed that the courts in the state of Georgia have allowed this thing to go forward. Now, interestingly enough, the now former mayor of Atlanta came out over the weekend, or maybe it was yesterday, Monday the 1st, saying that the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which is the biggest for the longest time, was the biggest newspaper in the American South, really was. And I don't know that they are anymore, but I don't know what paper is big anymore.
So pretty close.
They wrote an editorial saying Biden's got to go. And she's screaming, you're illegally influencing the election. And what?
She said that really already?
Who was mayor, was past tense
really
mayor
against
of Atlanta.
Speech.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Wow. That is the obligation of the press. It is absolutely obligation. And you can't have it any other way. I personally,
it's the obligation of the press, and it's the right of any individual.
It's the responsibility, not the right. It's the responsibility of the press. And again, as we pointed out in the previous episode, when you have more than a dozen, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. I mean, for God's sake, he lost the New York Times. You can't get any more Democratic than that. And then somebody, oh my God, Friday, somebody said, let's get Hillary Clinton. And I'm like, oh, no.
She's on board. I think, and let me go ahead, I think she might be, after we're thinking about our last break during the segment and everything else, I think Hillary is on board here to go ahead and usurp Biden and take her throne back as a Democrat leader and go ahead and knock out Trump one more time with a little bit of Russia in her pocket and see what happens. I mean,
she's certainly trying to make the case.
She's definitely trying to make the case. I mean, and I agree with you guys. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and change my stance here on the podcast about the immunity thing if it's done correctly. I'm just worried about future presidencies whenever the abuse of power is so tempting and so great that they can use this here. I mean, and granted, it's already in the Constitution already. Just a lot of people don't really know about it, but now they do. And so hopefully you don't take advantage of it and really fuck it up.
Well, Rachel Maddow is out there saying that this ruling would allow death squads, would allow the president to murder someone that he didn't like, and there'd be nothing they can do about it. How in the hell is murdering someone an official act?
I don't know. You got a president with his Alzheimer's, and you have no idea what they might do. I mean,
no, I'm not saying they won't try, but it takes the staff to agree to it.
Well, exactly. We got some. I mean, right now, I would never have thought that we would have a president like Biden in his medical state still being in the case right now. And with him not being able to make the decisions he can make, everything else, and basically there's obviously a shadow behind him controlling everything because there's no way he's pulling any of these strings at all. No matter what they say, how smart he is in these meetings.
No,
there's no way that you can make me believe
no. What you hear about the meetings is what you haven't heard about the meetings is that his staff is terrified of him, and they carefully curate what they bring up at the meetings to keep him from going off the chain.
And so that being said, I mean, I'm not. Everybody's talking about Trump and this whole thing. I'm worried about a guy with dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that with this whole scenario.
Are you under the impression that they're listening to him?
No.
Somebody might be. You never know.
He's not in charge. There's no way he's in charge. They bring him completed documents that are ready for signature, and they just tell him to sign them, and he does.
He needs to drink his milk and cookies and go to sleep.
Yeah.
He does. Okay? People made a big deal out of the fact that Reagan, who was not quite this old in his second term, but Reagan would a couple of days a week go upstairs after lunch, take a 90-minute combat nap.
Exactly.
And I don't have any problem with that. The guy's over 75. Okay.
Reagan's
lucidity do that right now.
Reagan's lucidity is far ahead of what Biden's is right now.
Yeah. What?
Reagan was far more together toward the end than what Biden is right now.
I would 100%
Zero
agree.
comparison.
I 100%. All right, that'll wrap it for this segment of the Political Matrix News. On behalf of Scott, the guy in the hat, and Greg, the guy in the... I was trying to remember the other term for suspenders. Galluses. That's the word. Galluses.
Galluses, that's right.
Okay. Yes, go ahead and pop your suspenders.
About Green Acres, you know. I mean, hey.
And you look at too, but that's another story.
I'll bring the banjo out next time. Okay, we'll just
all right. This is the Political Matrix News.